All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about Zoom in the K through 12 classroom, best practices, new features, and a little bit about how to design hybrid classrooms. My name is Jason Mobley. I'm an educational solutions engineer with Zoom. I'm also joined by Jason Nass. We like to call ourselves Jason 2.0.
Where?
He's the account executive for the K through 12 market. Jason, how are we doing today, sir?
I'm great here in Chantilly, Virginia. Loving that I'm back in VSTE. It's been probably about a year or two that I've missed VSTE, and I'm so happy to be back with my customers and my partners and my friends that I've known for actually the last 20 years. And I have my little snowing background because, a lot of times when we're at VSTE this time, we're in Roanoke, we're traveling down 81. It's nice and snowing, and it's a great little joy on 81 in the snow. Jason, who is in Florida, is in the weird section of Florida where it's 1 hour behind. So I learned something new each day that Florida did cross into that section. So I'm hoping it snows. I was actually supposed to be on a trip come Saturday to do some skiing, which is probably on hold now. But love the snow, and I miss Hotel Roanoke. And I think this year was supposed to be in Virginia Beach, though. But either way, candied bacon and M&Ms are being a miss. So we're very excited to be here. And feel free. This is going to be an informative session. We're going to do question and answers. If you like something you hear, please use the reactions. Let us know. Please, we're all former teachers. We're all used to that type of reaction. And you're going to see the reactions change a little bit too in a coming update for the students for that nonverbal communication. So great stuff coming from Zoom. So why don't we continue? So as I said, I'm so excited to be back with you guys. It's been a great road. I had the privilege of joining Zoom, and I'm assuming since you are here, you are either using Zoom or have some questions about migrating to your video platform to Zoom. Well, Zoom just works. That's what we say constantly. I'm not sure if you've used Zoom for your personal life, your school life, but it really just works. In the months that I've been here, I have not had a single meeting have an issue or have not been able to hear my customers. And there's a reason behind that. And that's that Zoom's unique culture. And that culture was designed from Eric when he worked for another company and wanted to rebuild that company's video structure, because video was never first. Video was just always an add-on to a product. It was a chat product that a company goes, oh, let's add video to the code. It's an audio product. Oh, let's add video to the code. Zoom was created for video first. That's why when you see our Zoom desktop application, video is always in the forefront. We always have our video on. We're a video first company. We want to make sure you're seeing us and you're seeing our beautiful smiles, hopefully. Homegrown architectural technology. I said Eric built this from the ground up. That single unified product suite where everything we're going to show you today is off that one platform. And we're going to be video centric for everybody. We want to work with everybody. We want you to be able to plug in from anywhere and use Zoom. How do we deliver happiness? If you've ever met anyone from Zoom, Jason, are we going to deliver happiness today?
Absolutely. And I guarantee you by the end of the presentation, we're going to have everyone smiling and being happy for sure.
That's awesome. Well, delivering happiness, especially in the education world, means something and means something specific to us. If you've known me, if you've met me, I don't have customers, I have partners, and then those partners usually really turn into friends of mine. And I really believe that I have to give them happiness. And that means that product is specifically for them and working for them. But Zoom has to do this in a very specific way. We've talked about that single platform. Everything is done through that one exact interface. For you admins or directors of technology, that same web portal that you're running is going to run chat, going to run Zoom phone and Zoom meetings and Zoom webinar, all from that one location. We're going to have that global quality as service. We're going to talk in a second. Robust mobile functionality. If I go from this meeting and I have to run upstairs because my daughter needs help with 6th grade math that I cannot answer probably, I'm going to can just transfer this meeting right to my phone's Zoom interface and continue that conversation. And friendly open APIs, meaning we're going to be working with those other companies to leverage Zoom into our platform. We do this through our UCAS solution. So this is our wheel. If you've done any type of demonstration with us or have done a demo, you're going to see our wheel of, I call it our wheel of trust a little bit, but it's Zoom's wheel of product. It's one unified collaboration software platform. So we have our meetings. Our meetings, you get chat free. We're going to show you that if you've never used it. Chat is always free, and it comes with our platform. Our audio, we have, if you haven't turned on our exceptional audio service, we can do that via phone, or even update your meetings where the audio is for your music teachers to show that high fidelity sound coming through the system. From webinars to Zoom phone, we can really attach to your classroom to your home environment right now, where you're going to be safe, secure, and be able to be in touch with your parents and the school system at a given notice without any type of security issues. And we can go around the wheel to our Zoom rooms, which is going to give you your in-class hybrid environment that you learned about last night with Catlin Tucker, a much more experience with dual cameras and the ability to do whiteboarding. And Jason's going to show a little bit more of that in a couple minutes. So we do this happiness. How do we deliver happiness? We talk about it all the time. And Jason, if you hit a couple of buttons, I think it's a PowerPoint where it'll pop up, that it's all about reliability. I need my teachers to log in, my students to log in, and have those 4 nines, meaning 99.99% that it's going to be on every day, all day, and active for those users. And the only way to deliver happiness is to make sure that happens with no loss, no audio issues, no video issues. As you see here, we have a number of people on the line. I've been, it looks like we have about 23 or so right now, 21, but I've been on calls with hundreds of people at one time where the audio is perfect, the video is perfect. We're all going to break rooms within seconds and back and forth, knowing that my teachers and my students are having that same experience makes me happy, and I hope makes you happy. Next slide. And this is how we happen. So this is a nice little graph of billions of minutes, annualized minutes. So we see from 2015 to around 2018, video communication was just beginning. We had the WebExes of the world that were doing audio only. We had those audio conferences, and then video would start coming in there when we needed it to. But both of them are very, very needed at a very specific time. And Jason, we see a very big uptick in around 2019, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting here is the fact that all the way to 2020, when the pandemic hit, it really thrust us forward. And so we see this trend where everyone kind of jumped into synchronous video all of a sudden.
Excellent. Well, when we have those minutes and we deliver happiness, something else happens is we get happy customers. And our next slide is going to show you some probably names that you've seen. We see universities and schools and districts that are using Zoom, and happy Zoom customers, we hope. But there's the 5 at the top are very specific. At least the first 4 are very specific. Jason, do you know what those first 4 represent?
I would say that those are some of the largest school districts in the United States.
Not just the United States, actually in the world. So we have, we have LA Unified, we have NYC, New York Department of Education, DOE, Miami-Dade. Just alone with Los Angeles Unified, they chose to go with Zoom they basically made a decision in July. There's a news release, you can look it up. It was July. By September, they were completely onboarded, and they were doing I think it was 1.5 billion minutes in meetings in that first month. That is a huge number of minutes and reliability, which keeps those customers coming back, because we are doing the integration with Schoology and Canvas and LMSs to make it easier for them. But we're growing, right? We're growing into this K-12 company, where before we were a higher ed business company. We are now a full-fledged K-12 company, and you're seeing that with every different iteration of Zoom coming out. And as I said, we in that last slide real quick, we do that in the Zoom in the classroom by doing HD video and audio. I want to see exactly what we're doing. Our security and compliance. I'm sure all of you have heard when the pandemic hit, people were all of a sudden the Zoom bombings and the security issues with Zoom. Zoom shut down for 90 days, complete R&D shutdown, and put every single developer into a security developing mode. In those 90 days, we revamped everything that Zoom does in security. And now we have end-to-end encryption, HIPAA compliance, 508C compliance. We are actually we are the most secure video platform out there to date now. We also have session recording and transcription. You're seeing session recording happen right now, and you're gonna see live transcription happen live in our demo in a second. Breakout features, breakout rooms. I'm sure you all love breakout rooms, and there was just a new update today, if you've updated, that lets co-hosts manage the breakout rooms. So if you're a teacher in ITRT, that is a new feature. So please make sure you're updating your clients. And as we already talked, the LMS integration and the accessibility for all learners with the compliance that we have for keyboard shortcuts and all 508C issues. So we only have 30 minutes. You're here to see some action and ask questions. So I'm going to pass it over to my partner, Jason, and get into some live demo and discussion of how these features actually work. Please feel free to, again, use your reactions and ask in the chat any questions I can answer live, and we'll get them at the end too.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. So let's talk a little bit about some new educational features that we recently launched. But I want to come back to that security perspective for a second. So let's talk about some best practices into securing our meetings. Number one, as you're booking your classes, whether you're booking them from an LMS or directly from the portal, number one, let's use randomized meeting IDs. What we mean by that is you can either randomize your meeting ID or you can use your PMI. Your PMI is your personal meeting ID. I would only use that for ad hoc meetings. I would randomize that meeting ID. I also would enable meeting passwords and couple that with waiting rooms. From that perspective, you're actually controlling who can come in and out of your classrooms. The one thing I want to mention, and the often analogy that I like to say, is that Zoom has had passwords and waiting rooms for quite some time, but we actually had the customer turn those on. Due to bad actors, we like to label them as Zoom bombers. They came in and actually went into the meetings and did some horrific things. So now what it's kind of forcing us to do is turn these on by default, right? Also, we have the disable join before host. That's very important at the K-12 level because you don't want your students and your teachers not to be together. So again, if the teacher has not joined yet, we're going to keep the students in the waiting room. Another feature that you can take advantage of is, let's say a teacher is teaching from home, they lose power or they lose their internet connectivity. We have a setting that can push all the students back to the waiting room until the teacher rejoins, so we don't have a privacy issue from that perspective. Also, you have the ability to manage annotation and whiteboarding permissions. So by default, only the teacher will be able to do that. You can turn that on for the individual students. And then if your students actually receive a school-based email address, especially for your middle schools and high schools, from that perspective, we can only allow authenticated users can join. So if they have that school-related email, we'll let them into the meeting. That's a setting you can enable as well. So Breakout Rooms is one of our most popular features in Zoom meetings, and we're constantly adding more functionality to provide the best experience for our users. We recently added the option for meeting participants to self-select which breakout rooms they would like to join. So previously, the meeting host had to assign a participant to a breakout room, whether you did that through pre-assignment, which means that we put their email addresses in before they join, and we put them in particular rooms, or you could do it ad hoc. Let's say we kick off the meeting, we kick off 4 rooms, and we randomly assign, or we assign them to particular rooms. Now you can actually have the teacher turn on self-selection so the students can join which room they want to do without needing the teacher's help. Now, also, we have slides as a virtual background. Now, again, you can share content, whether you're sharing a website, a whiteboard, or even a PowerPoint deck. But in that sharing option, there's an advanced feature. And when you click on advanced, you can take advantage of slides as a virtual background. So this allows a teacher to upload a PowerPoint slide deck directly into your Zoom meeting, and it overlays the teacher on top of the deck. So as we can see this young lady here, that's a teacher teaching. And as she builds a slide deck, she doesn't put anything in the right-hand corner. So this is resizable, so she can be very small. And it's very engaging to see your teacher teaching on top of the slides. You can point to content and graphs and be very engaging. If you need to make a big point, you can drag it big and go, I'm making a big point, and then shrink yourself back down. As you probably can tell, I'm rather animated.
No,
also,
never.
The customizable gallery view, right? So Zoom has always had gallery view. That's where you can see up to 49 participants at a time on a screen. But now you can easily drag and drop those video tiles and rearrange the order in which the students appear in your gallery view. This view gets locked into a fixed configuration, so it won't shift when a new member speaks or when someone enters your virtual classroom. And then this is especially handy for activities that involve going around the room in a certain order or placing students into virtual groups. Also, we have multi-pinning. Now, we've always had the ability to pin, but now with multi-pinning, you can pin up to 9 participants at one time. So how does this help? Well, teachers and students using sign language won't necessarily appear as the active speaker, but with multi-pinning, students who either are deaf or even hard of hearing can now pin both the teacher and the interpreter on the screen for a more accessible learning experience. And if a teacher spotlights a screen, the students' pin videos still appear in their previous order across the top. Also, we have MultiMultiSpotlight. So now teachers can spotlight up to 9 students on a screen for the whole class to see. This helps by allowing you to create a customized focus group view that's visible to the entire class. So this is great for you're putting students in the group, they're doing group presentations, and you want everyone to see that group as they present. And the feature that I love the most is live transcription. Now, before live transcription, we had closed captioning. So what that allowed you to do is you would have to use a third-party service, add that into your meeting, and it would transcribe that experience, right? Now we have live transcription built in for the K-12 features, and we're actually launching that to higher ed and other market segments in January. So what I'd like to do now is I want to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm actually going to turn on live transcription. And for me to do that, I'm going to actually share my entire desktop. So let me show you this. If I go ahead and hit share screen, I'm going to share this desktop. Okay. So now you can see my entire desktop. So you can see all your lovely faces. Everyone wave at the camera. Scott's like a kindred spirit.
I know. I was waiting to bring that up, Jason. I was like, have you seen his setup right now?
Yeah, Scott, I'll have to send you some pictures of my setup. I think we were born from the same nest, my friend. Mm-hmm. So live transcription down here, we click live, and then we enable auto transcription. And as soon as I do that, you'll actually see at the bottom of the screen that it will physically start transcribing as I talk, right? This is great for a couple different use cases. You might have students with accessibility issues that feel like they can't keep up with the teacher and they want to be able to see. Now let's take this a step further, and each of you can do this as well. I can go to live transcript and I can click view full transcript. And as you can see on my right-hand side, it actually shows the transcript. So I'm actually going to call on someone. Let's grab Tara. I see her in the corner. Tara's smiling. Tara, go ahead and unmute for me.
No, not me, not me.
She's like, he called on me. You do this to your students, I know.
Right when my dog was at my feet, distracting me.
So what I'd like for you to do, Tara, is just keep talking for a moment and tell me what you think.
Tell you what?
Tell me what you think about live transcription.
Oh, I like this. We have actually some UN families, and I have a Greek family, and so we definitely could use something that will. Can we translate?
Okay, so
by chance,
you went right into that, huh, Jay?
He goes for the jugular. So
I know.
The perspective I wanted you to see when Tara was talking, and thank you for that, Tara, is that as she talked, it actually switched and understood the speaker. Yes, there needs to be a natural pause between the teacher and, let's say, the student, but it actually works pretty well. Now, Tara brought up an interesting point. She said, we have students that speak another language. So there's some use cases where you have students that maybe are learning English as a second language, right? And they feel like they need to kind of keep up with that. So in this example, we can do this. The other thing that I'd like to do is actually, I think you said the word Greek, right? So if I actually search the word Greek, down here, it highlights when Tara said the word Greek. Yes, you can scroll back. Down here at the bottom, I can even save that transcription out, right? So as the teacher, I can actually pull that down. So then Tara kind of alluded to the next thing. She said, do we have the auto translation, right? So right now we have the ability so that you can bring in an interpreter and they can interpret at 80% volume while the teacher still speaks at 20% volume. We're working with our educational team. And the next thing, that's kind of the next iteration, Tara, is to look at the ability from an artificial intelligence perspective, if we can auto-translate with different dialects. So keep in mind, that's something that we're putting on our roadmap. But yes, we've had that ask. A lot of people are asking for that as well. So I'm going to stop.
Jason, if you don't mind, let me just jump in there. If you don't know how to enable this, or if you have questions, please reach out. But your admin would enable the live transcription in the portal under closed captioning. And then that would feed out to your other educated licensed users. And just so you know where Zoom sits with this, K-12 is the only segment that has this ability right now. That's how much Zoom sees in giving the customers what they need right now. It has not funneled to even myself. I cannot even show you that because, again, it takes a lot of data centers out there to do what we're doing right now with that live transcription. So it will funnel down to everyone at some point. But right now, K-12 education licensed users have that ability. So just reach out or have someone reach out to me and I will get your information or I'll get you that information to enable that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Jay. So now let's talk a little bit about remote hybrid classroom designs. So for much of the pandemic, teachers have been teaching from their laptops and desktops. Now, keep in mind, this was not by choice. You didn't have the choice to say, hey, we're face-to-face tomorrow, we're teaching from home. You were kind of thrust into that. Teachers have been doing a really good job of learning the technology. There's some pedagogical changes that need to be made, right? The one thing that I wanted to say, and I try to take the time to do this, number one, you don't hear enough of this, but thank you for what you do, right? You've worked countless hours supporting our children. I know that even Jason has children in the Virginia school system. So number one, thank you for what you're doing. Congratulations to you. I need to even throw out a sound effect for that because, again, our teachers don't get enough of that. So, thank you very, very much, right? But how do we take this teaching into a more immersive experience? Well, Zoom Rooms takes Zoom meetings into the classroom by supporting large displays, whether they're TVs or projectors. Also, you have the ability to use high definition cameras that support features like auto framing. It's kind of like having a camera system or a camera crew built right into the camera. So it allows teachers to be mobile, right? And walk around the room in an engaging fashion, because let's face it, we don't all teach the exact same way. Some teachers like to stand in front of a podium. Some teachers like to sit out of a desk, and some teachers like to be mobile, moving around the room. Also, Zoom Rooms for Touch allows teachers to annotate using their finger or even a pen. So you see behind me, I actually have two Zoom Rooms behind me. This one, which is a Zoom Rooms for Touch device, is on a cart. And I have that on a cart for a reason, because I can make it mobile. I can move it from room to room. Again, I can connect this through Ethernet. I can connect it through Wi-Fi, right? And lastly, you have the ability to use room-based audio to leverage classroom discussions with all the students involved being able to be heard, right? So why Zoom Rooms in the classroom? Number one, it's our goal to level up the teaching experience. Zoom Rooms gives the teacher the ability to wirelessly present content through wireless share. Also, if you have an iPad device, you can share through AirPlay. And it allows augmentation devices like document cameras, especially if you need to show a 3D model to your students. Also, teachers need the ability to annotate on top of any content, whether it's a website, an image. You need to bring up a picture of the respiratory system and be able to actually annotate on top of that image. And then we have digital whiteboarding. I've seen experiences where you've had teachers point a camera at a dry erase board and trying to write on that dry erase board. But again, the students at home don't get that same experience. It doesn't look the same. So we need to digitize that whiteboarding experience. Also, teachers need the ability to create a virtual classroom, whether completely hybrid or even remote. So some considerations for that is the solution needs to be easy to use, that incorporates existing technology. All audio and visual components need to be of high quality, and all parties need to be able to be seen and heard. The classroom solution needs to be flexible by allowing to use existing assets in the room like TVs and projectors. The solution needs to allow learning without manipulation. In other words, the teacher needs to be able to teach without feeling tied to constantly pressing buttons to get the room in a particular order for his or her lesson. Also, lastly, the solution needs to provide additional capabilities that extend the traditional classroom environment. So at this time, I actually would like to show a demo of a couple different experiences. And I know we're close on time and we want to answer some questions as well. So I'll move through this quickly. So here's an example of a remote classroom. And let me re-share here. So this is a remote classroom. Again, this is a Zoom room on a cart where the teacher is standing here. They actually have the controller where you can handle muting, changing of the cameras, looking at all the different chats. You see behind them, they actually have a laptop and a document camera. Again, they can share content wirelessly. They can move around the room. So let's talk about the experience of the student. Well, if I click up here at the top, this camera has a 120-degree field of view. So they can see that teacher walk around and be very engaging. So again, that's if we're actually teaching completely remote. Let's take that up a notch. Let's actually talk about the hybrid classroom. So we have found with a lot of feedback from teachers that this 45-degree angle has been very efficient. And the reason that is, and I'll click again on this camera, the students at home can see the teacher and they can see the students in the room all in one camera angle. So if Sally is sitting in the front row and she asks questions, the students at home can see Sally, they can hear Sally appropriately, and they can feel connected to Sally being in that classroom. Because again, we don't want that talking head syndrome. Another use case that I've seen is, let's say you're teaching hybrid, but a student actually gets quarantined. Well, with a Zoom room solution, they could still be part of that classroom because maybe they're asymptomatic, they're sitting at home, but they want to still learn. You don't want to just send them homework where they have to do busy work and not actually get the firsthand information from the teacher. So we have that type of experience as well. So the one thing that I would offer to you is, if you're not using the Zoom room experience and haven't explored that yet, reach out to Jason. We definitely can show you what that experience is like. And at this time, I'd like to kind of entertain any questions that you may have, and I'll drop the screen share.
Yeah, so feel free, take your mics off. You can either raise your hand in the participants view or just start talking. We do have minute or so. If you have any specific questions, we can answer as quick as possible. All right, George.
Go ahead, George.
Hi there. Thank you so much. Quick question for you. We're having a slight issue with the waiting room feature with our elementary students. What's happening is, and I was just curious if you might know the answer off the top of your heads, but what's happening is the teachers are not seeing the students in the waiting room. They are on the student side, though. We can see that they are in the waiting room, but we are not seeing them actually in the waiting room. They're being kind of hung out in cyberland. And we're trying different solutions. We're trying to get them to authenticate. We're trying to make sure their Chrome browsers are updated. We've cleared their history, but we're still experiencing some of these issues. Any suggestions on that?
So George, one quick question that I would ask about that is, the students in the waiting room and the teacher, are they both on Chromebooks?
No, the students are on Chromebooks. The teachers are using Dell PCs.
And from that perspective, if you have the manage participants open, so you see the students that are currently already in the room, but in the waiting room, you don't see them waiting?
That is correct.
So here's what I'd like to do. And I definitely believe in this whole pay it forward approach, George. So I'm going to go put in the chat real quick. This is my email address, jasonmobley.mobley@zoom.us. I'd like for you to reach out to me one-on-one with that. And I'd actually like to kind of walk through that issue and until we have complete resolution, because I haven't physically seen that, but I saw Jessa shake her head. So that means that more than one person is having that issue. Let's work on that together until we have that, and then we can share that with the other users as well.
And Jason,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and George, and just since that came up, Chromebooks, just so everyone's aware, Chromebook is a huge priority to Zoom and to Chrome themselves. There is a update coming from Zoom, but when Chrome updates to 88, 89, that's going to solve a lot of issues. Then, if you don't know, we have partnered with Chrome, and we are building together the new progressive web app. So when Google stops the Google store, no apps will be used. The web app is being created in conjunction of each other. So it's going to be an incredible experience.
And to that point, I actually presented a roadmap on that today. So that with the web app, we're creating feature parity. You're adding polling. A lot of features that Chrome does not allow now will be added to the web app. Better speed support. And also there's issues where, let's say, students have socioeconomical issues where maybe they're embarrassed of their home environment. We're going to allow the ability to blur the background so you won't be able to physically see that as well. So there's a lot of new features to Jason's point. Any other last minute questions? Because I know, Kara, go ahead.
Well, this wasn't a question, but I just wanted to speak to that last comment or the last question. As an LMS, I get often, I field some of these questions from parents that are asking, saying, I can't get into the Zoom meeting. One thing I noticed was since our most recent security upgrade in Virginia Beach, since that was pushed out, that's when I started seeing it. And typically, and our kids are on Chromebooks also, if I have them just do, just a hard reset, basically turn off their Chromebook, turn it back on, that gets them in. It doesn't solve the overall problem, but it's been the quick fix for that individual.
Thank you so much.
Any other last minute questions? Well, hearing none, I'd like to, number one, thank you guys for joining today. Earlier, Jason mentioned about delivering happiness. And again, the part with teaching is we understand that we want to constantly be building features based on better experiences for you. So I did provide my email address in the chat. So if you have ideas for new features, features that you haven't seen or features that you believe that Zoom needs, definitely reach out to me because I actually work on the team that actually builds that. I'd be happy to hear your feedback. And if I need to kind of unpack that more, we'll jump on a meeting and cover that. So I know it's kind of late in the afternoon on Wednesday. I would say we're on the other side of hump day. So I'm going to leave you with this. Here at Zoom, delivering happiness is something that's very important to us. So listen, I hope we have a couple smiles. I see Maggie's kitty in the background. Listen, I hope you guys have a blessed day. Stay safe. Take care of those students. Keep them in line so that they learn something tomorrow. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be back. If you need me, you have my email address, and we will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Hopefully, I want to see all your faces tomorrow at our 8 a.m. session. You'll learn more about Zoom Phone.
All right. Take care. Have a good evening.